everyone. Welcome to Clint Speaks. My name is Clinton White, and this is the very first episode of Clint Speaks. Why am I doing this? Um, I want to let you in on some things that I went through. To some, it may not be much, but to me, it was life changing. We're going to go through two life changing times in my life, and you'll understand why I'm doing this. And um, it'll make more sense if I just go ahead and dive right in. So again, my name is Clinton White. Um, I love to speak. Let me just start there. But I didn't know this starting out. I'll be 47 on August the 26th, and I've been speaking for well over 25 years. That's schools, churches, events. But I didn't always know that this was my passion. I was doing it, of course, because I like to do it, but I'm going to take you on an early journey of my life. Um, I always been a man who knew what he wanted. And in my life early on, I saw my dad working, family man, and wanted to be just like him. I, I wanted to be built like him because he just had those natural muscles. He was a country boy. And I asked him, did he work out? Did he ever hit weights? He was like, not really. He was just built like that. So I wanted that. He had a gold tooth in his mouth back in the day. I wanted that. I put one in my mouth. Family man. So I became a family man. He paid the bills, so I wanted to pay the bills in my house. And I think that was a good example, man. Him and my mother have been married for well over 50 years. And, you just want things like that. Good example. And things were going that way until one day, 2007, I was laid off of a job that I had for 6.5 years. Well, basically fired. And the reason they did it, it was ridiculous. We'll get into that in another segment, but um, lost my job. For a minute, I was okay. I got $10,000 equity out of my home and ended up just paying bills with it. I really wanted to invest in real estate, didn't have any knowledge. So once that ran out, of course, we were put out, foreclosure. So now we're having to live with my parents, my family, and you've got three adults in the home, three children. At times, it was just uncomfortable because that was their home. That was my parents' home, and went through, man. I mean, that was like the beginning of my downfall financially and my life. It was a life changing event, to say the least. And some may be going through that right now, but just listen to what I have to say. Went through that. And at first, like I said, I was okay. But after a while, when the money ran out, you get the notices, and that's embarrassing. But it makes your heart drop. It puts fear in you if you're not strong enough. And had to go through that. And marriage was already kind of not where we wanted it to be. It was just in shambles, man. It was not something that neither one of us was proud of, you know, but not getting into that right now. So I lost my home, my pride, eventually marriage. And now I'm having to live at home with my parents. And some may say, well, why did you just get a job? Well, I did try. Now, mind you, this is back in 2007. Um, I was speaking to my current wife about it. I didn't know anything about any Uber Eats or, Uber, any of that. And what I would do when I lost my job, you all, a guy walked up to me that I knew. He said, "Are you making any money?" I said, "No, I'm not making any money." He said, "Well, try this." And he showed me his business card. I was like, "What is this?" He said, "I sell insurance." And I'm like, "Man, I never sold nothing in my life, man. I've always clocked in." He said, "Well, just think about it." A week went by, me wanting to be a family man like my dad and who I was. It was just embedded in me to be that. And I was like, man, well, let me try this then. And started trying to sell life insurance. And I remember my very first sale, I sat in someone's home, couple, husband and wife, nice size home. It had to have been at least two to 300,000 at least. And to me, that was nice. And they had just got the home. You could still smell the fresh paint, the fresh carpet. They had a newborn and they wanted 250,000 a piece. And I asked them if they could afford that. I mean, I knew that much to ask. Yeah, we can afford it. And I asked them again later on, you sure you can afford this? I mean, because this both of you all are getting 250,000. Yeah, we can afford it. And they never made the first payment. So I had like an $1,100 charge back that I wasn't able to pay back because it was a struggle trying to sell insurance. And long story short, started selling insurance, things like that was happening. And I would get in the hole and I would look for a job and nobody would hire me. Never to this day figured it out. And then in insurance, I would get a lick. I would get a good sale. Hey, I can survive for a couple of weeks now. But still and yet, that wasn't time to sit back. Let's go hard at it. This is what I'm here for. I can sell insurance. And then I would go into a drought. And then I would look for a job. And then I would get a good lick in insurance. And I said, hey, I can do this. Spending time with my children. Even though, me and their mom is separated, we've gone through divorce or about to go through divorce, I can do this. And next thing you know, dried up again. And I'll look for a job again. And then couldn't get hired anywhere. Nobody would hire me. Didn't know why. And then I get a good lick. And then it would dry up. And this cycle kept going on and on. And I didn't realize, ladies and gentlemen, that this was going on for the 10-year span. So for those that ask, you couldn't get a job for 10 years. That's why. It wasn't because I wasn't trying, but it was basically I would literally get thrown off because I would get a good sale or a sale and I would stop looking for a job. And I'm saying, okay, listen, I can do this insurance thing because it's giving me time in the evenings at night to go support my children. My oldest son was in the band, my daughter was in dance, and my youngest son at the time, he was playing football. And that was major to them to see me in the stands supporting them. So that meant a lot to me. And you just getting a sale and you get paid and you're saying, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. I did what I was supposed to do. I did everything legal. I'm not doing anything illegal out here. So, hey, everything is good. And then it'll dry up again. And now I can't do anything. My house gone, marriage gone, credit gone, money gone. And there were times where it dried up so bad to where I didn't know what I was going to eat from day to day. To the point to where I remember when I did make a sale, if a dollar or two dropped in between the armrest and the seat, I knew I could reach down there and possibly feel around and find, loose change or a couple of dollars. Even in the armrest, I would keep, loose dollars in there. And when that was dried up, hey, I would reach down in between the armrest and the seat like I used to and couldn't feel anything. And who was I fooling? I knew wasn't nothing there anyway. But I would pull back skin, no money, because my hands were so big. There was nothing there. I knew that. I just wanted to get a cheeseburger from McDonald's, just something that would take me through the evening, to the next day. Just something. I could drink water and a cheeseburger, at least a hamburger, something. And there were times where I would pull up to the teller because I was too fearful to look in my phone. I didn't, not fearful, wrong choice of words. I just didn't want to face the depressive thought of seeing zero balance in my bank account or over with overdraft charges. I just didn't want to see this. So I would just take a chance and just go to the teller. I lived my life like that for years. All I needed was $10. That was the minimum to get out of the teller. Some of you all may be going through that, but just keep listening. Just keep listening. And there were days where I pull up to the teller and insufficient funds. I would just get a receipt back. That was it. And there were days where I felt blessed, man. I felt real good because I would get 10 or $20 out. It would shoot back at me. Hey, I'm good. I can eat for a week at least. And there were times when my children needed things for school. With that 10 or $20, I would give it to them because they had needs. Their mom shouldn't have to support them with everything financially. I'm their father. If I don't eat, my children are going to eat. And they didn't find out till later on when they were grown. Dad, there were days where you didn't eat because you gave us that 20 years. No problem. You're my children. That's the sacrifice of a parent. But let's move on. Because some of y'all have gone through that too and possibly going through that right now. Just keep listening. But either way, I went through days like that where I didn't know. And some say, well, man, you were staying with your parents. How did you go hungry? I couldn't eat up all their food. They didn't know I was coming to stay with them. I had my whole life in one room. My clothes, everything on the bed, clean. Some I wore one time that was mixed in with the clean clothes. To the point where sometimes I couldn't go to the cleaner. I started selling Aflac. And I remember being in a meeting and I couldn't get to the cleaner. I didn't have any gas and didn't have any money to clean my suits. So I wore the same sweaty suits to the point to where I was in an Aflac meeting and this one guy was sniffing with his nose. Somebody smelled like old people. And the person that was training me, I'll never forget, a lady named Claire. She knew what it was, but she just had a heart for me, man, with all due respect. No flirtation. She just had a heart for me. And she messed with him back. It must be your upper lip. And she laughed about it. They laughed about it. But she knew it was me. I felt bad, man. But that's okay. I know some of y'all going through that, but just keep listening. So I went through that, couldn't clean my clothes, couldn't eat at times, no gas money at times. I'm frustrated beyond measure. And I'm one that believed in God. I got to the point where I asked, where are you? I'm always telling people about you. Where are you? How am I being left like this? Where are you? Are you even real? Maybe what these guys say on the street corners, maybe it's true about you. Maybe you don't exist. This went on for I don't know how long. Literally, I don't know how long. I was so frustrated naturally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally that man, whenever I did go out to sell insurance, I was so negative to I didn't bring any sales in. Say what you want, but that does affect you. How you leave your house, how you wake up in the morning and start your day, that will affect you, good or bad. So you can imagine how my sales were. Well, later on, started working for Sears, but not what you think. I wasn't in a store. Again, nobody would hire me, so I took the opportunity to jump on this and found that it was 100% commission too, because I was in the home improvement department. And basically, home improvement was there were customers that had us to come out to their home by appointment and give them quotes on their HVAC system replacement, replacing their roofing or their siding or their windows. Now, if you made a sale, hey, there's another good lick. But if you didn't, man, I'm right back to depression like I started out. There were days where I drove. I only had one appointment a day sometimes. And I would drive on that one appointment, sometimes two, an hour and a half away from my home. An hour one way, an hour another way, and it takes me an hour and a half to get back home. And I didn't even see anybody. Nobody bought anything. Hey, I just wanted a quote, man. With all due respect, my wife and I are about to go to dinner. I'll get back with you. And you know how that goes. So I got nothing but mileage pay. Some of y'all going through droughts right now. That's okay. That's okay. I know you be saying it's not okay. It's not, you keep saying it. Just keep listening. So I went through that to the point where I'm so frustrated now to where I'm ready to give up on everything. Were there bad thoughts going through my head? Yes, they were. Suicidal thoughts every now and then, but I'm not a suicidal person. But the thoughts did come. I would be lying if I say they weren't. I just didn't let them dwell in my head long enough to act on that. The thoughts did come, just end it all, man. No, no, I got children. I can't end it all. So I got to figure out something. Bad thoughts going through my head, man. So Sears is not working out. Insurance is not working out. What do I do? And the thought came, truck driving. I'll go drive trucks over the road. My children are grown, staying with their parent, with their mother. I'm staying with my parents. I don't have nothing to lose. I heard the unemployment office here in Memphis helps you get started. They'll link you up to a certain truck driving company. And I went and got the paperwork, and I put it made up in my mind. I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice when I get to work. Got to work that morning, the next day, because I had the paperwork in the truck, um, in my vehicle rather, to start truck driving school. And lo and behold, I get to work, and my manager says, "Hey, we came in, I can't remember, it was first or second place in sales for the quarter. I'm taking everybody out this morning, right now. Where do y'all want to go?" A few places came to mind with everybody. We're brainstorming, and I'm still brainstorming on when can I tell this dude I'm about to quit. I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. I can't do this no more. I'm spending more money in gas than I'm making back in mileage. Well, we decided to go to Main Event. That's a place here in Memphis where you shoot billiards, or we call it pool. Shoot pool. You do laser tag, bowling, things like that. They got a bar in there. You can get your pizza or your hamburger or your lasagna, things of that nature. We decided to go to Main Event on Sears Company's dime. We get there. Now, mind you, I don't answer any 901 calls anymore. And that's the area code for Memphis. So I wasn't answering any of those calls because they were mostly robocalls. So I got tired of hello, and you don't hear anything, then it hangs up in 10 seconds. I just got tired of that. But before this day, I heard that there was a company that was hiring here in Memphis. And I applied for the position. I went and interviewed for the position. And they asked me, "Did you have any questions before you go?" I said, "Yeah, how much does the job pay?" And they looked at each other and they told me because I can interview well. And I left out. I didn't even make it to the elevator. I said, "God, you got to give me this." Now, mind you, somebody may be saying, "Well, I thought you were mad at God." Yeah, let me go back to that. So for months, years, I'm mad. I'm upset spiritually. And some of y'all may say this is crazy, but I remember laying back on that bed, and it was a full size bed, but I could only sleep on a quarter of it because I had my whole life in that room. So the room was real junky. Everything I owned was in that room. All of my clothes, my shoes, everything I had. And I remember laying back, and by this time I had calmed down. And I remember there was nobody in the room but me, of course. And this quiet voice just said, "You know, you have an enemy." Huh? Yeah, I'm going at God, but you know, you have an enemy. Clint, you're under attack spiritually. Wow. That's what it is. All this time, man. Because see, you have people that go through storms in life. You have people that lose children. You have children that lose their parents. You have people that get raped and molested. You have people who get burnt in house fires and who be in car wrecks, just bad, awful car wrecks. Who lose their limbs, and people who have who are born with the diseases. People who get diseases after they're born. You have people who go through different storms, and it was hard for people to believe, how is it that a grown man cannot get a job for 10 years? Well, I went through a storm. I was under attack, just like a lot of you all have been. And once I realized that, once it was revealed to me, it was like, now I need to focus my attention on the one who's attacking me. Now I need to think more positive. I know where to focus all of that negative energy now. And once I realized that, and I started thinking positive and picked myself up and became the Clint that Clint's supposed to be. At that moment, I felt change, but didn't see it. I just needed to feel it. I just needed to know that I was no longer that same depressed person, the same person that allowed others to beat him up and take my. It's called self esteem, but I allowed others to have that. Once I stood up and manned up, and some of us need to man up and warming up. And I'm not saying I'm not blaming you or fussing at you. I'm just saying you need to take your rightful position. You've been crying long enough. You've been down long enough. You've been depressed long enough. You've been giving up long enough. That hasn't gotten you anywhere but where you are now. So, Clint, you said we need to quit doing this, that, and the other. What about you? You're stopping at the point where you said you applied for the job, but what happened? Well, let me tell you. I applied for the job and didn't hear anything for a week or two. I decided to go to the unemployment office and get the paperwork for them to help me get into this trucking school and sign up with this trucking company. And I went in to put my 2 weeks notice in, but he wanted to celebrate. Speaking of my manager at the time, my sales manager. Well, we get to main event and we're bowling. And I told you I didn't answer any 901 calls. And this particular day, I am giving them the business on the bowling alley. I'm not saying I bowled a strike every time, but it felt like it. And I remember bowling this one strike, this one last one. And I felt the phone buzz in my back pocket. 901 call. I said, I'm answering them now because I applied for this job. I answered the call. Hello? Hey, Clint, this is Randall Timms. Hey, Randall, how you doing? I'm doing great, Clint. How about yourself? I'm doing good, man. Good, good. Well, listen, the job that you applied for, yes, sir. We want to offer you that position. Do you accept it? Yes, I do. God, yeah, man. I almost teared up then, man, because it just brought back memories, man. This was 4 years ago. He said, listen, Clint, we're going to send you an email. I'm about to send you one. Once you get this email, you have 48 hours to go take a drug test. I said, no, I don't. I'm saying this to myself. I got 48 minutes. I need a job now. There's nothing in me but water anyway. They're not going to find anything in me. I don't smoke or drink. I went and took the drug test. Of course, I passed it. I got the job, y'all. 10 years of going through. 10 years. Now, mind you, during the 5 years that I stayed with my parents and my children were coming over there to see me, year one, I'm telling them, your dad is going to get a muscle car. I'm thinking Dodge Challenger. And I'm going to get a two-car garage, a house with a two-car garage to put that muscle car in. Yeah. Months go by, and I'm telling my children, your dad is going to get a muscle car, sports car, something with some horsepower, and I'm going to get a two-car garage to put it in because I don't want it sitting outside. Yeah, year two. Year three, hey, your dad's going to get a house with a two-car garage and a muscle car because I can't have it sitting out in the weather. I need a garage to put it in. Year four, my daughter's upset by now. Dad, when you going to get the car? When you going to get the house, Dad? When you gonna at least get the house? We tired of seeing you live like this. You've been saying this for 4 years now. When? It's almost 5 years. When? I said, Didi is coming. Really, I was telling her it's here. It just hadn't manifested yet. And for some of y'all, you just need to know it's here. It just hadn't manifested yet. But it's coming. Don't you give up. Well, Clint, what happened to you? Let me tell you. January the 2nd, 2018, I started working for the company that I wanted to work for, making more money than I ever had on any job. Now, mind you, before you get a car, from what they say, you should be on the job for at least a year. You should show at least a year's worth of consistent income. Before you get approved for a house, you should show a year's worth of consistent income. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know May 2018, I got a 2016 2SS fully loaded Camaro sitting on chrome Camaro rims, sunroof. May not mean much to nobody else, but can you imagine going from not being able to get gas in my Expedition that I had bought years before? As a matter of fact, it was an '04 Expedition. I bought it in '06. Still had it. To that. Never had a muscle car, never had a sports car in my life. And guess what? Later on that year, November, I moved into my home. I was by myself, 3 bedroom, 2 bath home, 2 car garage. And some more things I said I was going to get that I never had: stainless steel furniture. I mean, appliances, jacuzzi tub, separate shower. I have it. May not mean much to nobody else, but I just came on here to tell you all this is why I do this. I know there are plenty of people who do podcasts just for the money because they said, hey, you can get on Anchor, you can get on all these other platforms, and they will pay you and they would do this. Hey, I can make a good lick with this. I'm not here for the good lick. I'm here because I love people and I don't want you going through what I went through. And I came here to encourage you. I don't get nothing for this right now. Nothing. But just the enjoyment of knowing that I'm walking in my calling now. This is why I'm here. This is why I do this for you all, because I don't want to see you go through what I went through. So hold your head up. When you look in the mirror, see somebody who's attractive. When you go out to look for the job, if they tell you no, please don't give up and get angry like I did. Keep going. Please, ma'am, please, sir, just know Clint went through this too. I don't have prison stories to tell you. I don't have drug stories to tell you, but I can tell you how I went through hell and high water financially and I lost everything I had. I can tell you how the night that I left my marriage, the first marriage, how I slept out in 8-degree weather. I'm not talking about how I felt to the body. I'm talking about looking at the temperature of my truck I had to sleep in the driveway, and nobody knew I was sitting in the driveway because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I can tell you how I went through that, but now I can sit in the heat and the air in my own home. Don't give up. I've been there. I'm doing this because I love to and I want to encourage you. It's not over. Keep going. Rid of the negativity and get ready to live the best life ever. Again, Clint Speaks. I'll be back with another episode. You all be blessed. Have a good night.